Hey, how you doing, Mr. Hodges?
Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Hodges.
How you feeling, brother?
Pretty good. Welcome to Heavy Brand Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Um, Mr. Hodges, so for this podcast, I think we discussed a little bit briefly yesterday. The purpose of my podcast was I was a child refugee from Ghana in 1987. Uh, my parents were political activists.
Right.
So my father was exiled from Ghana in the early 80s.
Okay.
Um, my father, after he got exiled, he ended up in the United States. The rest of my family was split up. So being the youngest of four, my mom had to choose which child she would take to America to find my father. So she chose me because I was only five.
Got you.
So once she brought me to the United States, we found my father, and then a Catholic church did a fundraiser, and they were able to locate my older siblings and bring them all to Detroit.
Okay.
So that was the '80s. I wanted to, give back to the youth in Detroit. I had a lot of positive experiences, contrary to what the media puts out for Detroit. I've had a
No
lot of
doubt.
positive experiences in my childhood growing up in Detroit, and I just wanted to give back to the youth besides my regular 9 to 5. I'm a regional
Right.
coordinator, but I want to give back to the youth with this podcast
Gotcha.
featuring positive role models on the show. So that's how I came up with the podcast.
Okay. Cool, man. Yeah. Anything I can do to help, brother, keep me posted.
Appreciate it, Mr. Hodges. Time to pepper you with some questions. um, a lot of people know you, as a former Chicago Bull, but take us back to your upbringing. You grew up in Illinois, correct?
Yes, sir. I grew up in first of all, I want to thank God for blessing us to get a chance to come across the airways, man, during this crazy time. For you and your viewers and your listeners, be safe during this period of time. Be thoughtful. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You know, for me, I was blessed to grow up in Chicago Heights, Illinois, during the time when the civil rights movement was prevalent, and my mom was the secretary for the movement. And during that time, there wasn't no babysitters, so I would have to sit there between her and the president of the organization. And for me, it was just it was the lighting of the candle. And as far as me searching for whatever I can do to take our people to that next level, man, to be able to be a conduit of positive thinking and critical thinking. So I was blessed to get a chance to play basketball. My uncles taught me how to play. My granddad was a big influence in as far as me understanding the work habits and work ethic involved in sport. And my aunts and my sister, man, they were sticklers for education. So I wasn't gonna get to do no sports if my books wasn't on point. So, man, I've been blessed to understand student athleticism at a young age.
I definitely appreciate that background. Now, so you had a foundation, you had positive role models in your life from
Yes.
from day one. Now, what brought you all the way from Illinois all the way out to Cali to go play college ball?
And man, in the '60s, UCLA was winning everything under John Wooden, and growing up in Chicago, Illinois, and the winters, I'm watching them play basketball on the West Coast. They coming out after the game. They got on shorts and a t-shirt, and I'm looking out the window. It's a blizzard. I'm like, that's where I want to go to school at some point in time, man. And Tex Winter was recruiting me for Northwestern, and he got the job my senior year at Long Beach State. And it was a blessing, man. I was blessed to get a chance to go to Long Beach and study basketball under Tex
Mhm.
Winter, but also I was blessed to have Dr. Maulana Karinga, the founder of Kwanzaa, was my first professor. Then I had Dr. Khalid Muhammad. So I had some great mentors who taught me research methods and the importance of using your platform, whatever it may be, once you leave school to further your people, man, and that you're only as strong as the least of your family, man.
That's a fact. Want to interject with a question that my 10-year-old daughter wanted me to ask you. So She wants to know, because
Right.
I speak a lot on individuals such as you in the household. Even though I grew up
Got you.
here, I still have some African tendencies too. Like, uh, she says, where did you find the courage to speak the truth and not simply fall in line? I'm
Wow,
paraphrasing her.
yeah, and that's a 10-year-old brother. So we have some critical thinkers in line. You know what I'm saying? That's looking at it in a different light. And for me, it's one of those cultural imperatives. You have it as a young boy, and you see the importance of writing letters. You see the importance of standing up. You see the importance of speaking truth to power. And I was blessed to have that at a young age. And once again, like you say, man, any successful person has a great support base. And my support base has been impeccable all my life, man. I've had my families. I have good friends around me who are critical thinkers also. So one of the things for me is always make sure that you're not the smartest person in your group, and that you
Facts.
always want to be moving to a higher level of consciousness and thought. So man, it's been a blessing, brother, just to like to share with you guys and to be able, so courage I think is just the confidence of knowing that you studied, knowing that whatever it is you're getting ready to speak on, you thought about it. You're not just opening your mouth willy-nilly about things, that you're actually putting in research and effort and energy. What we say is that, prayers without work is dead. So it's one
That's
of
a
those things
fact.
we have to make sure that we meld whatever it is we're thinking about into our action.
Mhm. Now, Mr. Hodges, sometimes our favorite artists, our favorite athletes, our favorite musicians are not always who we dreamed them up to be.
Yeah.
What advice would you give the young people as far as seeking out role models?
One of the things that I always tell people is that um, if you hear a message, don't always consider the messenger. Consider the message. So oftentimes the message is tight, but the package that's bringing it is kind of iffy. So yes, sir. So it's one of those things that we have to try to let let our consciousness guide us to some degree. If it hits your spine and it makes you tingle, then it's pretty good. But if it hits your stomach in a way, I don't know if pops or mom's gonna like that. So there's a certain level that I believe that everybody has in them to know what's right and wrong, man. And we've just been so greedy about resources and money and moving in that direction as opposed to what's right and exact in our lives on a daily basis.
Yes, sir. Um, Now, you may not have been asked this before, and I'm sure you've done a bunch of interviews, and with the Michael Jordan thing, there's a lot
Yeah.
of big name people harassing you, trying to pick your brain. But um, I want to learn more about you as the person. So, what are some memorable places that you visited around the world?
Well, one when I after I was blackballed out of the NBA in 1992, I had a chance to go to Italy and play, and that was a great experience for me. I had been overseas to Japan and Bermuda and different places to do basketball camps, to Argentina, the Philippines, but I actually had a chance to be in a place for 4 months and hoop and learn the culture, and it was a great experience, man. And it's always one of those things where when you get a chance to be an athlete or an entertainer or what have you, or you get to travel even, you see things and you would love for your family to get a chance to see them. You would love to get your homies, like when I was in Venice and I'm standing on the canals and I'm like, man, we seen this in movies at the crib, and you take pictures, but it doesn't give it any justice, man. So it's one of those things where you always try to do whatever you can to share those moments with your family and your friends as best you can. But those are the types of things that basketball and being a student athlete has prevailed me, man. So one of the things that I would tell all of the students and all the young folks that are watching now, make good use of this time. Make good use of this time while we're in quarantine, while we're in a quasi lockdown, to be able to make sure that your spirit is stronger by studying and by reading. Try as best you can to find your passion now. That when we come out of this, it's going to be a different paradigm, whether it be education, whether it be sports, whether it be entertainment. And to some degree, we have the power to create what that looks like. And that's one of the things that I've been, since this whole Michael Last Dance has come up, I've had a lot of interviews and a lot of contacts to people who, if we unite ourselves, we can make some great things happen for this next generation, man. And that's why, like, when I saw your email about getting and reaching out for you, it doesn't matter how small or how large this thing is. It's about the quality, man, and the quality of wanting to do the work and wanting to do it and knowing that it's selfless as far as it's not about us, it's about the next generation.
Yes, sir. I appreciate those words of wisdom, those jewels. Um, I come from a background where, not to call you old, but where we take advice and wisdom from our elders,
No question.
and we pass it on. For our young hoopers, Detroit is still a basketball city.
Ain't no doubt, man. Ain't no doubt. And that's the thing, the Midwest has produced some of the best players, and I think the climate has a lot to do with the toughness. And a lot of times you can take your wares and your gifts to warmer climate and hammer people, because it's just a certain drive that you have to get up every day to go work out in 20-degree weather with 12 inches of snow, where guys in California, Arizona, they're out there and they don't have that battle and drive. So when I got to school at Long Beach State, that was one of the things that I would laugh about. It'll be 60 degrees and they're talking about it's chilly. I'm like, man, y'all crazy. So for me, it was a blessing, man, to get a chance to do some of the things that I've done in my life, and basketball and education has been the foundation of it all.
Mhm. Now, um, for my young hoopers that want to pick your brain on the basketball tip,
Right.
obvious question.
Yes.
When you're working on your jump shot, are you aiming for the front of the rim or the back of the rim?
That's an excellent question, because the first thing you do is you see what you're shooting at. I tell people you can't go into a gunfight blindfolded and expect to hit anything. So likewise, I have to see what I'm shooting at before I start to move my ball to that point. So what I would tell people is that I grew up shooting a lot in the dusk on the school ground where it didn't have any net. So I trained my eye on a certain point, and it wasn't on the rim. And in training young folks over the last 4 to 5 years, I figured out that what I was looking at is about, when in visualization, 2 inches inside of the rim, wherever I'm at on the court. If I'm in front, I'm looking in front, but I'm never looking at the rim. I'm looking at 2 inches inside of the rim, and I lift that point up 6 inches. So now I'm looking at 6 inches above where I want that ball to end up. And if I end up an inch one way or the other, the ball is still going to go in the basket, because as a shooter, we know that two balls can go in the basket at one time. So there's no reason for me to miss one.
Oh wow, okay. Appreciate the knowledge. I did a little bit of high school coaching
Okay.
in my brief time in Colorado. I was at a local high school, but I wish I'd have known that, because we had athletes, but we didn't have any shooters. So.
Got you.
Appreciate that tip as well. Also want to ask you, in your time in the NBA, who were the top 5 players that you played against at the guard position, at the two guard position specifically, though?
Reggie Miller, Reggie Lewis,
Rest in
um,
peace.
MJ, of course. I played against MJ when I was in Milwaukee. Um, Isaiah and that whole crew. That y'all, and I would just package all them together, man.
Joe Dumars, Vinny Johnson.
Man, that was a three-headed monster, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I was blessed, brother. I was blessed too. And it's hard to really just take 5. You know what I'm saying? When I think about the players that I played against during practices that were Ricky Pierce, those type players, you know what I'm saying? And that's my boy, man. When we were in Milwaukee, we used to play one-on-one almost every day when we didn't have a game. So
He was a shooter. Did he play for the Mavs as well?
yeah, and he was drafted by the Pistons.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, wow.
So in fact, he was drafted by the Pistons in 1982. I was drafted by the Clippers, and then the Pistons traded him to the Clippers, and then we were all traded to Milwaukee together. He, Terry Cummings, and myself.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
there's been some, man. I've been blessed, man, to come in the game in 1982. Dr. J, Kareem were carrying the mantle, and to be able to play against those guys who played against the guys in the older generation, I feel like we at that golden age of basketball where we saw the peak of it, and now it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out from here.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting how the face of the game might change based on COVID-19. Are we
Yes,
going to have people in the stands? Are we not? You got the high school players, the top ones going to the G League.
yeah.
Who knows how it's going to play out at this point?
And I feel really sad for the student athletes who are seniors in high school who had spring sports, whether it be the track or baseball players who are still trying to get recruited. So if you're a track athlete and you're trying to get your time to come down, there's no meets to be able to get that time to come down. So it's all going to be interesting, man. But a lot of it is, to deal with the way our country has treated people, man, over the ages, man. So a lot of stuff is happening on an international front, on a lot of levels, man. That we have to be cognizant of, and be still and peaceful to know that it's some good things getting ready to happen for it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, yeah, I'm gonna put faith in the Lord because I definitely can't navigate these times on my own, as just one human being. I hope, as a nation, we, turn back to our faith because these are, it's new territory, it's
Yeah,
uncharted
absolutely,
territory.
no
It's
doubt
an
about
enemy we can't see. We can't see,
it. Yeah, and
the virus in action. So,
the thing about it, man, is that there's so many different and conflicting reports about where it came from and why it came from. But I just know the impact that it's having on our people, man, man, it's terrible. And I think that's why I'm just telling everybody, be mindful and be safe and think about, you know, what you can do in your future, as opposed to, if you don't feel comfortable going out right now, don't do it. Take your time and get back into it. But at the same time, start to prepare a plan and strategies of how you're going to come out of this, and how you're going to do something economically different than you did going in, that can enhance you and your family.
mhm, mhm. Thank you, Mr. Hodges. I appreciate your precious time.
Oh, brother,
Heavy Brand Podcast. I'm a small youth podcast. I appreciate you
anytime,
coming
brother, anytime. Just because
on.
hey, great things come in small packages, brother. We know that.
Amen, amen. Mr. Hodges, I'm gonna upload our episode on my Instagram, Heavy Brand Inc. Um, you can always view the episode, share with grandkids, nephews, share with the young
Appreciate you,
people
brother.
in
And
your life.
stay in touch,
Thank
man. Anything I can do to help you, and the young brothers and sisters and young folks in the Detroit area, man. Hey, it's my honor and my privilege, brother.
you, Mr. Hodges, and stay healthy, stay safe.
There you go. Peace and blessings to you and your listeners, man. Everybody be safe.
Man, see you, Mr. Hodges.
Peace, peace.